So today I wanted to talk about my 3 top things that I do to manifest as a witch. Now there are plenty of different things that you can do. Obviously as a witch we have a lot of tools at our disposal and different methods that we can use, but these have been by far my most tried and true that work every time, and it doesn't require you to actually have any tools. A lot of witches, especially when you're beginning, it's really hard to accumulate all of the stuff that you feel like you need, and none of these require anything. At most, you might want to include like a couple little supplementary things like a notebook or like a little bit of candle magic or even like some incense, but it's not a requirement. So the first thing that I like to do is to focus on affirmations. And I've mentioned this before, but it's my favorite like analogy to use when we talk about witchcraft. And the study is that, and I never remember where it's from. I remember I heard about it eons ago. But basically they took a group of people, and I've told the story 1,000 times, so those of you who have been here for a while, welcome to the repeat. So if you're new though, the basic premise is that they had 2 groups of people and they were trying to test how much what you say to yourself will like affect you, basically. And so what they had done is they took people, and one group had to say like every day that they love pickles, and the other group had to say that they hate them. And inevitably, regardless of where they had started, the group that constantly told themselves for whatever time the study was that they loved pickles, they ended up loving them. The group that said they hated them, even if they had loved them initially, now hated them. And there's a lot of things in witchcraft, especially more recently, the past like 20 or so years, that people have been pushing this narrative and showing that a lot of the tools in witchcraft that we use have psychological things alongside them. A lot of people will use concepts and things from psychologists. Carl Jung is really popular, but a lot of people will use these different psychological things to aid in their witchcraft journey and to aid in stuff that they're doing. A lot of people do shadow work, which can also be like a psychological thing. Like there's a lot of that stuff, and affirmations kind of falls into that category. On the magical side of things, it is just one more part of the ripple effect of your magic that you're doing. And it's not terribly huge, but over time it does make a difference. Now your affirmation list doesn't need to be terribly long, but I've found that you do need to do it very often. So for example, this could be something you say at some point in your morning, some point during the day, and at some point at night. And usually I will make a point of repeating it at some magical amount. So some people love to do 3 or 9 or 13 or whatever, however many times you feel like you need to. Different ones might require different things. Some people, like if you're doing something for money, might do like 4 because it's a number for prosperity, and it's also for like stability and stuff like that. Or you might choose a different number for whatever reason. But doing an affirmation every single day for whatever your goal is has been one of the most helpful things. And it's really good if it's change that needs to happen within you. Now your affirmations, how you word them, does matter. And it's something that's talked about kind of frequently in like the neurodivergent community and also in the law of attraction community. I know, the overlap. But the thing is, when you tell somebody, like, don't go touch that folder, your thoughts are on the folder. Even though you're not supposed to have anything to do with it, you're gonna think about the thing. And the same rule kind of applies in magic and in also the law of attraction. Basically, you don't want to have a lot of not sentences. Not wanting to be fat, not wanting to be lazy, not wanting to be poor. You want to change that because even though you have the word not, the focus is on the other thing. So instead, you might want to say that I'm healthy, or that I'm happy, or that I manifest what I desire, or, you know, I own whatever car that you're trying to get into your life. And you put it in like the positive spin of whatever it is versus the negative for whatever your affirmation is. The next step is visualization. And a lot of times this goes right alongside with your affirmations. You can do it at the same time. Usually when I do my visualizations, it is a different step in the process, but at least once a day, when you go to do whatever your magical intention is that you're trying to manifest, really get specific into what you're wanting to manifest. If it's, let's go with one of the more popular options as we're getting into the warmer months, finally, It might be that you want to be a little bit healthier and a little bit slimmer in your body. Not everyone, but a lot of people. We love to hibernate and have all of the yummy foods all throughout fall and winter, and now you're like, oh, those shorts don't fit no more. Like that time of the year. And so, going with that example, your affirmation might be like, I want to be healthy, because eating lots of sugary foods and processed foods aren't always the best option. So you might focus on that, and then your visualization might include what foods are you going to change in your diet, and really go through the visualization. Instead of having a Pop-Tart for breakfast, maybe you're gonna cook yourself like a fruit and like some like yogurt or like oatmeal, like something a little bit healthier. You don't need to be like the extreme crazy, but you know, think about how you're wanting to change your diet. And you need to be able to visualize these details very specifically, and that's where the visualization key is like really important because a lot of times if you don't have if you have whatever you're trying to manifest, but you don't have a clear picture, it's not going to really work. It's going to fizzle out. It's not going to manifest the way you want it to. And so keeping along that line, you're focusing on what you're eating in your visualization that you're planning to realistically change. And then also you might include like, when are you going to exercise and what sort of exercises are you going to do? We all know typically if you want to, you know, slim down a little bit, you're going to have to move. So what method are you going to use? Are you going for walks more? Visualize where you're going on that walk. Are you going to go to the gym? What equipment are you going to use? How many reps do you plan to do? Whatever. But like, get very specific in that visualization. I usually try and go through the entire day, especially if it's something big, like if you wanted to slim down, or like if you wanted to manifest like a new career and you wanted to visualize how your day would go with the new career that you've gotten. Or if you're wanting to manifest love, same deal. How would your day-to-day go? Would you get a good morning text? What would you talk about? Would you share what you're having for breakfast? Let's plan that you're going on a date that day. Where are you going? What do you want the interaction to kind of look like? Try not to pick like a specific person, like you're still keeping it on you, but it's more like how you would experience that situation, if that makes sense. And then lastly, and I feel like this is honestly kind of the most important, as much as it sucks, and that is gratitude. I know, it's so overly talked about, it's such a saturated thing, but really, gratitude makes such a huge difference when you're trying to do magic. And again, it sounds silly, but making time to really honor your gratitude every day is huge. And honestly, it kind of sends out the message to the universe that you're gonna be grateful when you get stuff, because you've already gotten stuff and you're not grateful for it. And you need to actively have that emotion. Instead of always living in the wanting, you want to live in the I have this and I'm happy about it emotion, like attracts like kind of thing. And so some people will love to do like a gratitude journal. That's hence the tools, but like I'll get there in a second. But for gratitude, you don't always need to write it down, but a lot of people like to, or you can just say it out loud. My method I like to do is I keep my gratitude box and I write down on little slips of paper every day, and then at the full and new moon I burn them. And it's just part of my every like couple weeks ritual that I do, and it works really great for me. Other people, they like to have it written down indefinitely and they can look back. Other people, they just like to say it as they're going about their day. You could do your gratitude when you're mowing the lawn, when you're shoveling snow. You could do your gratitude when you're driving, just make sure you're not distracted. Like, you know, even the mundane tasks at your job where you don't really need a lot of brain power, take that, you know, 2 to 3 minutes to just focus on some gratitude. If you feel like you're gonna, like, maybe not say enough or too much and you're not sure when, set a timer. I usually would plan, like, a specific amount of time that I would do that. Nowadays, I just, whenever I have my altar time, I just write down whatever's on my mind, put it in the box, and then I burn it when the full or the new moon comes up. And that kind of brings us to the tools side of this. You don't need a tool for any of these, but if you want to enhance it just a little bit, these are just a couple things that you could do. So with your affirmations, I like to include having a specific incense that I would do. And this is thinking in mind that you're doing your affirmation like at your altar every morning or every evening. And you would burn a very specific incense for your intent. Now, it could be just a magical incense that you use every time and it just kind of activates like the witchy brain. Or you could have one that's for your specific goal. There's a bunch of blended ones that you can find online or at stores that are for your needs, so you could burn one of those. If you wanted to do a love spell, obviously, and you're trying to manifest a love into your life, there's plenty out there that you could use that you burn that every time you go to the altar and you do your affirmations. And as you have that smell, it kind of triggers the brain and it kind of gets the ball rolling as you smell it more and more. A lot of people will like tell you all of the science behind having specific smells when you do your rituals, and so that's just one way to kind of help trigger that. And you could just have it for your specific time when you're doing affirmations, like this is my affirmation incense. You smell that and then it triggers that part of your brain to be like, oh yeah, it's affirmation time. And if you do it all at once, it just could be part of like one ritual where it's like, okay, I'm doing my affirmation, visualization, and gratitude time. This is the incense that's going to be burning. With the visualization one, the tool I like to use is Candle Magic. I like to combine those two. You visualize, you send the energy into the candle, and then you burn the candle. I like that one best. You could also use stones and then recharge the stone every day and keep that on you or on your altar. There's various things that you could do if you wanted to. I feel like the candle ones work best for me, and I like to use the little tea lights. They're simple, they're cheap, they're easy. It's not that much of a hassle to just have a big box of them. Trying to get colored candles has just been like kind of a pain in my butt. Trying to use them and find them, it's a pain. Tea lights, super easy. So I've been using those. They usually come in white. Occasionally you can find them in colors, but white you can just program to whatever you want. And so it works pretty well. And then lastly, I talked about the gratitude. You could have a journal, or you could do what I do, which is to write them on slips of paper. I keep them in my gratitude box. I talked about that around like Mabon-ish. And like, it's just something that I've continuously done and just kind of moved into like a monthly thing instead of a seasonal thing. But you just basically write down on your slips of paper all of your gratitude and then you burn it at your full moon or new moon ritual. And of course, doing that, you would have more tools required, such as slips of paper, a pen, cauldron, etc. and so forth. So anyways, I hope this was helpful and gave you some ideas. I would love to hear what your like top 3 like super easy ways to manifest are as a witch in the comments down below. Huge thank you to my patrons. I'll have their names here on the screen. If you'd like to support me and get access to exclusive content, it is patreon.com/nightwillowcrafts. Make sure to like and subscribe. I post every single day, and until next time, thank you so much for watching, and blessed be.